All right, I'm here today with Ben, Patrick, and Nsima, and we're going to be messing around with some sandbags today.
I'm a gym class PE sports coach now at a school, faced often with training 100 students in an afternoon. Very different challenge, makes you get back to the basics of things. The most basic I would tell someone out there is you can take kids, let them play a variety of sports, finish each day with just one exercise category. Let that stack up. If anything, do the one, and then they're like hungry, like, hey, can I do an extra? Let that self-determinism build. So we're gonna give you a sample week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I would even say to have 2 different weeks, so you have like 10 categories you're covering for kids. So we'll give you a week sample and just fire it up. So picking something up, that's a subject.
Yeah.
So break this down. I'm not
Not a sandbag guy?
No.
Let me introduce myself real quick too, because you guys don't know who I am. I'm Nsima Iyang. I'm a pro natural bodybuilder, jiu-jitsu black belt, and a movement coach. And I love movement variability. So we're going to be, like Ben just mentioned, we're going to be going over a lot of different things today. The first thing I actually want to say too is don't get overwhelmed with the variability and the things that we're going to be showing you. Don't get too in your head about what sets and reps. Don't get too in your head about having to learn new things, because you need to realize we're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives. So you'll have ample time to learn everything that we're going to be showing here, and you don't need to do it in a week or a month or even a year.
And the number one thing with lifting something off the ground is to make sure it's an appropriate weight. So this is something that all of us can manhandle, and that's where you would want to start too. So if that means for you, you're only starting with like 50 pounds, and that's a good start. When you are picking up something off the ground like this, like a stone or a sandbag or a heavy med ball, whatever it might be, I personally like to stand over it quite a bit, and then I usually will actually intentionally try to round my lower back a little bit, and then depending on the weight, that's going to determine how much of my legs I'm going to use. So for one person, they might want to squat it down and sumo deadlift it a little bit more, and for another person, they might want to just pull it with their back, and then basically from there, I like to get it to my lap, and then I usually like to throw it. It all depends on the weight, though. If it's super heavy, then there's going to be stages and steps to trying to throw it over your shoulder. If it's lighter, then you might be able to do it in one motion. And Nsima taught me to make some noise on these, so I think it's good to be aggressive. And so I like to actually just like walk up on it quick, get down there. Just try to make a little noise. Don't be afraid to make some noise. I think a lot of people are like self-conscious, but to me, it feels like my core automatically braces without me having to like really think about it, just by putting a little hoop in there.
And some of you guys that just heard Mark say that, if you do martial arts, let's say karate, taekwondo, boxing, one thing that you notice with martial artists is that when they throw a punch, like there's an exhale that happens. When they throw a kick, like that natural exhale happens to tense and brace the core dynamically. Because you're never going to see a martial artist throw a punch and let's say, like, you know, when we squat heavy loads, right? Right? You're not going to see a boxer throw a punch and no, they're going to be too stuck. They have to have a forceful exhale with movement, which helps brace the core so you can do all of that dynamically without getting in the way of the movement chain. So think about that when you lift. Don't be self-conscious about making any type of sound. One of the cool things about sandbags, I want to mention this, is this says 200 pounds right here, but it's not. This is filled with rice. So if it was filled with sand, it would be closer to 200 pounds. But Mark, what is this around?
It's probably around 130,
130 pounds. So one of the cool things about sandbags is that you can get different type size bags, and you don't have to fill it with sand, because sand will make it heaviest, right? But if you filled it with rice, or if you filled it with crumb rubber, crumb rubber is even less dense. So crumb rubber would maybe make this 200-pound bag maybe around
like 30 pounds or something.
Maybe 50 or 60.
It's pretty light.
It would be much lighter.
But you do want volume, though, and that's kind of the reason why you might want to fill this with something else, because you want it to have some sort of circumference. Because if the object is like tiny and heavy, then it gets to be very awkward to try to lift it.
Well, before I lift this, because I know Ben just wanted me to lift this, I want to talk about one of the other cool reasons why sandbags aren't just great for everyone, but primarily really good for like kids to learn how to lift things. One thing you'll notice is that when you come up to a barbell, barbells aren't bad. Let me first say that, because whenever you talk bad about the barbell, people start to get a little bit,
But you built all your size and strength for the bar.
I don't care. Okay, barbells, right? When you come up and you deadlift something, you hip hinge back, you grab the barbell, it's right here, right? One thing you'll notice is that, yes, I'm gripping it, yes, I'm in this position. There's no connection of this barbell to my body. It's quite disconnected, right? I do have to keep it close. It can't be out here, right, with load. I do have to keep it close, but it doesn't teach me how to lift something keeping connection to my body. If I were to try to grapple Mark and I were to try to get, and I'm not gonna do anything crazy, but I would try to get an inside position, I have to grab him here. If I were gonna try to toss him, I would have to, boom, toss him or lift him that way, but have that connection to my body. So when you come up to a sandbag, you're gonna notice that my hands are open, this open palm, my forearms can be connected, right? When I bring it to my chest, I'm then gonna connect it to my body. And if I were to yeet this thing over my shoulder, I keep it connected and bring it over, right? You learn
what would disconnected maybe look like?
Huh?
What would getting disconnected from that look like?
That would
be kind of jerky.
Well, if you were to try, it's almost too difficult to disconnect yourself. Because if I try to lift in a disconnected way, it would just maybe be elongating. But notice, like if you were out here, I wouldn't ever lift the sandbag right there.
But it's easy to get disconnected to a barbell.
It's easy to get disconnected to a barbell. With a sandbag, you learn how to lift the implement, connecting it to your structure and moving through space with it. So that's one really cool thing about it, that like I hate to use this word, but it is very primal. It feels very, and that's one thing that I think, again, can make it somewhat an instinctual lift for kids, because when you come to a barbell, you have to teach them to keep this connected, to not let it far out too far, right? But when you tell a kid, hey, fill it with maybe 30 pounds, 20 pounds, I want you to go lift that up, they're gonna be able to figure out that movement puzzle.
And the way I see it is like a real world task. Okay, this is like in the manual labor survival. To me, I see it as almost just like a real world task to then maybe dumbbell, barbell. Like I see them all as awesome.
Yeah.
So I come more from the rehab space. And so for me, my go-tos are teaching people from a seated position, getting that back, like retracting the shoulder blades, stretching the inner thighs, and then learning to pull. So I'm getting
You guys see how he's connected to the weight because he got the connection through his arms because he bent himself to get tension through the whole body. If you don't do that and you try to just lift, everything just goes right into your lower back.
Yeah.
And it's very taxing.
And most people, especially if they've had knee injuries, they've lost. Like if you've had knee injuries, you actually start stiffening up in the hips.
Yep.
Because you stop getting down here. So with this, we're stretching those inner thighs while strengthening the lower back. I then progress that to now we're gonna pick that up with that hamstring flexibility. So stretching the hamstring, strengthening the back. So those two.
When your knees were banged up years ago, was your mobility just trash?
Yes, you stop bending the knee, now you stop bending. I mean, I probably went 8 years never being in this position, and then never sitting on the floor. It's like, get me to a chair.
Yeah, and you use your hand to even sit down, yeah.
Yeah, so I come from that background, but the moment I had like 30 students I had to train, and they had a sports game going on the court, so it's like loud, like these 30 can't even hear me. I'm like, number one, it's hard enough to teach this stuff with one person when they can hear you.
Yeah.
Now 30 people, I don't have enough equipment, so that's when I reached out to Nseem. I'm like, I think there's something more fundamental in terms of picking stuff up. So with no experience, I can just see how I'm getting a mixture of these qualities for the glutes, the hamstrings, the low back. Even if a kid just practiced, like just pick it up 20 times.
I want to actually mention something that you kind of did instinctually when you were picking that up versus when you were doing what you're doing with the dumbbells. When you were picking that up right there, you kind of let your scapula relax a little bit more. You let stretch come here when you came down and started lifting this up. Whereas when you were here, not that this is a bad thing, but you retracted and kept that tension the whole time. I think one of the cool things about this, because when you allow that rounding to come to the scapula, there's also a little bit of rounding that happens with the spine. And one of the really cool things about learning to lift these implements is that you learn that you can bring some play to the scapula and spine while loading your body. Whereas when we do most other things in the gym, we generally try to keep slight retraction, neutral, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. We don't generally allow
Not a
this
great way
play
to squat.
to
Get your
happen.
upper back rounded forward.
I
Right.
think of it like for people who are scared of some of these things, I think of it like it's the ability to resist and stay like this. That's an ability.
It is.
But it's also an ability to go into and out of that position. But let's make me look bad. Get me like a heavy sandbag that I probably can't even pick up.
Let's get in a little bit of reps right here with this.
Yes.
Just everyone do like 6 reps. So just throw it over one shoulder 3 times. Throw it over the other shoulder 3 times. Last one. One thing you're getting in there too is you're getting your toes are getting in there even.
That's what
even
I was going to say. Is you'll get in a PE class, you'll get the kid who's like, "Oh, I can do that easy," and they'll probably naturally just like Olympic lift it up.
Yeah.
Well, like who's to say that's
nothing,
bad?
there's nothing
So
wrong.
I'm getting my legs going, and then have a triple extend and like try to get it up.
Can we talk about this real quick, actually, which is one of the reasons why I think this is really cool? Because notice what you're doing so naturally.
Keep going. You got 3 more, I think. Just be a little careful of your biceps. Try not to pull too much with the biceps. There you go.
Okay.
Good.
It's something. It's getting it firing.
Have you done that before?
No, haven't done a sandbag other than picking this up at the store.
Okay. Now, you've done a lot of Olympic lifting, right? And this is maybe 130, 150, right? But how did that feel to you?
I mean, you're activating a lot of stuff. It's very comfortable.
Okay.
It's more comfortable than when you're learning a bar,
Yeah.
which, in my opinion, the bar, beautiful. The dumbbell, beautiful. This, beautiful, and more fundamental. My little kids are trying to pick stuff up like this.
Yeah.
They're not instinctively like doing a power snatch or something, which would be stringing together. Really, someone who watches this video would be able to, if they did all this stuff, they'd learn a power snatch pretty easily by the end.
So before I do my repetitions, I don't want to talk too much, but I do want to talk about that, because another cool thing about this, and I think anyone who does manual labor or construction, they're like probably watching this and laughing at us like, oh, you're finally discovering manual labor, right? But the amazing thing about this is that you come here, you come into triple extension. Like if I want to really bring that over, it's a rotational movement.
See also his body's going back too even.
Yep.
Right? So you can train your ability, and just let's say someone starts lighter. You don't have to start at 130, you can start at 100, you can start at 75, you can start at 50, right? Learning to get that triple extension over your body. And then imagine then being able to do that with 100, 150, 200, 250, right? It'll take a while, and of course, we understand that if you're to load this on a barbell, you could load more evenly, you could have it in this nice symmetrical position. It's easier to progressively overload that with weight, but you can still progressively overload this and train that power ability with this type of implement, right? Which I think, again, for people who are martial artists, for people who aren't interested maybe in doing as much Olympic lifting, you can get the same stimulus right there.
I'd like to show you guys a couple things, so it's going to take me just a moment. You guys can keep talking or you can keep lifting if you want. I'm just going to set something up.
Yeah, while you set up, I'll give them a little context, and Seema said a good point, like for people who do manual labor. My kids are growing up in a way that they know manual labor. I grew up with my dad that I knew manual labor.
Yeah.
I had no must-have on my trainer career working out because I could work for my dad. He did manual labor stuff. I knew how to do it very well. As Seema was showing, it's instinctive to be figuring out like efficient ways to do stuff. So I'd often be going to my dad, hey dad, this can be done faster at just as good of a quality. So I think even if you're gonna be successful, whatever, raise your kids in a way that they can be successful off their skill at manual labor alone. Like it's such a great foundation. So if someone's saying, yeah, just do manual labor, awesome. The kids I'm training, they're not, most of them are not growing up the way my kids are doing manual labor.
2 things real quick. The strongest grapplers, like the guys who felt the strongest isometrically that I've ever rolled with, have all had a background in construction. That's like, it's the funniest thing, because they have to carry things all day for duration. It's not, When people
Very
talk about the
interesting.
difference of like gym strength and farm strength, a lot of people think that's bro science. But having rolled with these people, the strongest person I've ever rolled with was this 230-pound big white guy. And he just had these, just like, but when I tried to move him, he was just, he couldn't be moved. And the easiest people to roll with, oddly enough, have been gym guys. Like when I rolled with Chad Wesley Smith, he was very easy to move and tip over because all of the training was low duration, power. But manual laborers have stability and weight all day long. They move with weight all day long.
It makes sense.
Oh, and so one other thing I wanted to mention that's kind of cool about this, because Ben mentioned efficiency. One of the coolest things I think that we have about Sandbags is the ability to do things somewhat inefficiently. So when you lift this bag, efficiency would be doing what strong men do, where they bring the bag right here, they roll it up their legs, they come here, they bring it up. That takes the least amount of energy. But as you develop skill, what are the different ways you can bring it to your shoulder, right? Can you rotate, bring it to your shoulder and walk? Think about all the ways you can lift that implement. I think that's one of the other cool things about this versus a barbell. Of course, there are many lifts you can do with the barbell, but there are many different types of ways you can get that bag up. You could throw it over a shoulder, you could throw it over your head. There are many different ways to do that, and none of those ways are wrong. They just teach you how to move differently.
It's devastating too to squat with that, which we found out. We've done a bunch of, like you do a box squat with that, the core that it kind of takes to.
You want me to do it, or you want to?
I'll go ahead and do it, and you can mess
Squatting,
with it.
squatting as a subject, we're keeping in this first category of lifting things.
But you can kind of hold it whatever way you want. You know, if you're a wrestler, maybe you get a particular gable grip on it or whatever, and it can kind of fall between your legs, or it can kind of rest on your lap. Either way, I think it's fine. You can just come here if you want to be more on your toes. You can keep your heels off the ground. But stuff like this, and then walking with it, you walk down and back, and then you come back, and you do some more reps. I mean, you can get a hell of a conditioning workout. What was that one dude we had on the podcast that does like 300 reps? That kid, that young guy.
Stone Circle, Cody Jenko.
Holy crap.
Cody Jenko.
You can also kind of come wider, and you can get like a
Your mic dropped.
Microphone fell out. But yeah, there's tons of different ways you can mess with that. Want to give it a shot, man?
Yeah, I was going to show before we move on from squat. So this category of the video was lifting things, and you saw Mark immediately then carry things.
Yep.
So carry things will be the second part. So many things we'll dive into there. I was just going to show people in terms of accessibility. So went to Home Depot this morning. Sandbag was $7. The wood there, I would probably get it like here. So the wood was $2. The sandbag was $7, and these are California prices. My coffee and water bottle this morning after tax and tip was $17. So for someone training huge groups of students, or your kids, or even yourself,
You can see the activation of his legs as he's doing the exercise. Even though it's not heavy, it puts you in a challenging position.
Ben, also, I want you to try something. Since you're doing that squat, put it on your shoulder and then squat down and see what you notice. You don't have to do it on the platform if you don't want to. But
here and then up. Well, when I took it to my car, because I had this, so I was like, how am I going to carry this stuff? Because I parked pretty far.
Yeah.
Like this was on the other side of Home Depot. Mm-hmm. This was like, so you go you naturally go from picking things up to then.
Laborers are punching the air right now.
Oh, and they're so strong.
They're so strong. We're giving y'all props.
What we're lifting is so light compared to what these guys do every day.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of different things in the back, and then in the legs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just wanted to show, like I just set this here, but people that have, pickup truck or whatever thing that's high up, a lot of strongman guys will do this like on a box or something like that. But whatever thing you can think of to like throw it up and over, it just gives you a goal. It's like these weights aren't that heavy, but then to take this and chuck it over here, now we're kind of talking about a little bit of different game. So you take these guys and you can roll them up, and you can do that way, or you can try to just toss them up, whatever way you can get them over. like that. Want to give it a shot?
Sure. I think also, like Ben,
I'm just showing you variation of what you can do with these things.
Ben, curiosity, working with kids, how, because this is just kind of fun, right? They have like, I want to get this over something. You pick it up. Oh, okay. Pick it up. Right? How would you set that up? Like if they were to set it up in a school setting, like would it be, what's the easiest way you think?
I mean, and this is just what comes to my mind. Anyone watching would have their own ideas. Probably throwing heavier medicine balls and people seeing, okay, how far can you throw it this way versus how far, and that's its own category of this video.
Yeah.
And you'd want to start to put your money into a little bit more stuff like this rather than just weights. You know, when I worked at a high school and was training kids, and it was absolutely brutal, but we had a local company make some sleds. Like we figured out a bunch of different ways to like economically, you know, bring some of these things into the, and we had sandbags and a bunch of stuff like that. But the kids, you know, they broke everything. They broke a barbell, which I'd never seen before. Sleeve of the barbell completely snapped off. I've never seen that in my life. Been powerlifting for like 30 years. They broke a plate completely broken in half. It's like, holy crap. And they're not trying to be disrespectful to weights. Everyone's just training really hard and everyone's working really hard. You know how it is. You turn around for 2 seconds and some kid's doing some crazy exercise where you're like, oh my God, what's going on? Because you had all these ideas on how you're going to coach them and it doesn't work out that way.
Ben,
yes.
When you lift, because I know Mark was talking about that breath thing, do you think about the way you breathe at all when you lift, or do you just like, is it instinctual? Because you're an athlete. So I think athletes have instinctual stuff when they lift.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, I think when people are getting to maximal lifting, then that subject becomes a bit more like crucial in protecting the back and stuff like that. So it's not like, that's not my expertise and focus.
Okay.
My expertise and focus is more on like foundational stuff that then, like I don't max lift as part of my regimen.
Yeah. Okay. Let's, I guess since we're gonna, okay. What do you guys want to do next?
Well, I'm gonna finish one more on the, since I'm knee guy and I'm here, and I touched on this, but I'm gonna finish showing like actually like a fuller squat system that someone could use with a bunch of students. So we had $2 wood, we had $7 sand. As mentioned, that's California prices.
Yep.
So less than your coffee in the morning in California. With students, they'll get to a point where the legs are like stronger almost than kettlebell or sand or whatever they can hold here. And then what I find with advanced students there is now without balance, own,
Nice.
full pause up. You can get strong legs with $9 here. And the reason I got this morning is to show, you can have 3 students per 2-foot board.
Yeah.
So this would represent more of getting into more rehab potential because of being able to get like an increased slope, grip. So there's rehab potential. There's squatting potential. So I found didn't have enough squat racks for everyone.
Yeah.
And this is what I found with my basketball guys. I can get them dunking by being able to handle that on each leg pain-free.
Let me, since we're talking a bit about squatting here, I want to add a certain type of squat in, because coming from jiu-jitsu and martial arts, and I mean, even in sport, there's so much importance on not just strong legs, strong knees, but the ability to, I'm going to slip on that sand, the ability to have strong, mobile hips. In jiu-jitsu, a lot of times when you're playing guard, your legs need to be, like groin pulls in jiu-jitsu are super common. So that's why you'll see this in like Eastern Kung Fu movies, and like in the East, they do a lot of long horse stances, bringing this stretch here, right? But, you know, you can obviously horse stance, and then you could also do isometric holds here. You could do horse stance squats, coming deep into the groin, letting those tissues stretch, coming up, right? You want to develop these tissues, especially for any type of sport that opens the hips. Kicking sports, grappling sports, martial arts in general. And I think kids could definitely just benefit from this type of position, right? So that's another type of squat. The horse stance squat is something you can do weightless, dumbbells, but it's particularly fun with sandbags.
You'll build tremendous amounts of strength too by coming out of those low positions.
Yep.
Yes.
So let's say you took that as Monday. Guys, Monday, we're gonna work on picking things up. You keep it fun. You keep it a skill. Why are we always in decent shape? Because we see exercise with gratitude. It's fun for us. And now if we go back to these viral videos in the 1960s where everyone's fit, I give them a ton of credit. But those kids didn't learn it as a skill for life that they were self-determined about. Like if that worked so well, then every one of those kids would have gone off and spread it. And so I try to teach people in a way that they're going to practically become competition for me. I'm trying to teach this feeding in a way that a coach could take this and make a career and be a competitor to me, because they'll actually find ways that this is fun. And so maybe training knees isn't fun, but I've managed to make it more something that people are willing to actually include in their routine because it doesn't hurt.
Right.
So and again, this is my main part of the video is the knees. Whereas the rest, I'll be more of an observer.
Yeah.
So
Can you
go
quickly
ahead.
mention though,
Yeah.
because like I remember when I was a kid and I was like in certain aspects of PE class, of course you need to learn how to work hard, and sometimes that's not always comfortable. But there was an association between aspects of fitness, pain, and I'm just gonna stay away from that. You know what I mean? Because it hurts me too much. Nowadays, people think I'm a fitness nut, but the only reason why I do the things I do isn't because for social media. It's because these things are truly just are fun as hell. Like lifting that, throwing it, like all these things are super fun. I've set it up in a way that I seek it because I enjoy it. It's
fun to get good at these things.
Right, exactly. So before we move on, how have you kind of shifted certain things for that idea of fun? Because some people will think no pain, no gain, but I think that that's important.
Yeah, you bring a good point. If you're learning it in a school system, I think with my students, every exercise, they got to know why we're doing this, and they have to know how it's a gradient scale. I have students coming back saying, hey, I helped my mom with this thing. That's what I'm going for. But I'm going to give you my best value now, that plenty of coaches have made a career off what I'm going to show you right now. Because when we talk about these things and getting into these squat positions, I had lost the position to begin with. So everything I just showed you wouldn't have been fun for me. Hopping, like with kids, my 4-year-old, he hops on here. He watches me do this. This is fun for me. I hop on here, keep my legs strong after playing basketball, dunking without my knee hurting. That's all fun. But those are all based on positions that hurt me 15 years ago. So you can take any wall, anything, stand still. This is my Knee Ability Zero program right here. I'll try to show you within 2 minutes. With straight legs, you're able to now get those calves and ankles moving. If you did that on one leg, that would be a bit harder. So we could say, okay, this would be a good position to be able to handle. And if you've been out a long time, knee surgeries, and now you stop loading these positions a lot because you're not out there playing. And we're getting some circulation going. I'd say 20 reps. Then flip it around, still not loading the knees, getting the toes up. Again, I would say like 20 reps. So we're not loading the knees, we're pumping up here. And again, if you've been out years not playing your sport, you're not loading that position. Okay, now we're gonna start to work the knee just by finding the level of position that we can handle without pain. And from there, again do a calf raise, because people have lost that much ability down in those lower legs. So now you have two factors. You have the two legs, and you also have how far you reach. So you wanna be getting to this point where you're like, oh wow, this position's not hurting anymore. Again, high reps, 20 reps. Then start to build that single leg. Like if that was all I could teach in my career, I'd go around the country, CrossFit gyms or wherever. I'd make a good living just teaching what I showed you right there.
It's kind of rare too for people to train their calves that way. The only time the knee is bent is on those like seated calf raises, but you're not standing, you're not loading with your own body weight.
And if you haven't been through the knee surgeries and stuff, it might be hard to understand, or skipping sports seasons because of pain, that you lose a lot of ability in those areas versus someone who's just stayed healthy. So that's why I didn't show this first off, because this isn't where I would start someone. If they're healthy, I'm better at keeping them healthy than having to do all this. So from here, with this being pain-free, look how easy it is now to move. So this was an isometric for the knee while we're still being from there. Now we can get into those step-ups. Now we can get into those split squats. Then as you keep progressing from here, now you bring the other leg, now you bring Cossack squats into it. So if you take those things right there, all of which scale, because even if you get to this part, elevating the front foot.
That's where I started for this type of split squat. Elevated.
So elevation and assistance means less pressure than lower and unassisted. And it's the same for that, even if someone's getting into that Cossack squat, you can still elevate, and assist is going to be less pressure. So that was the straight calf, tibialis, then getting into the bent calf till that's pain-free, then that's pain-free, that knee over toe calf raise, then getting into the stepping down, then getting into the deep squat. That's my knee ability zero. That's my book, that's my program, that was it right there.
Is this something you have everybody do like almost all the time?
Nope, because what are we trying to do? We're trying to restore a position that should be pain-free to begin with.
Yep. Got it.
So with younger students, like my son is 4, he may never have to learn that. Now, we went over that someone could take 1 category per day, and I think use 2 weeks, so that students are covering like 10 different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably before students graduate, I would teach them that so that they would have the rehab skill for themselves and others. But no, my 4-year-old, he's not learned that. He's hopping on here, he's picking stuff up, he's pulling on the rings, stuff like that.
He's getting it through motion. I mean, we just got a lot of that through these sandbags. We were doing that the whole time.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, over the years, I've learned a lot from guests that have come onto this podcast, and I've taken the time to learn many different movement practices. So, for example, if you wanted to learn rope flow, which is a practice I think is just beneficial for everyone, I have a free rope flow foundations course at school.com/thestrongerhuman. Now, the Stronger Human community actually has over 11,000 members, so it's a great community there, but you'll also be able to learn rope flow for free, along with many other things I teach in there, like kettlebell flow, kettlebell juggling, all that good stuff. So head over there. Along with that, if you're looking for where to get your equipment as far as ropes, maces and clubs, sandbags, all that good stuff, you can head over to thestrongerhuman.store. And on that site is where I have all of the different functional fitness equipment that I use to become a stronger human. So check those out, and let's get back to the episode.
And as you guys are now getting into the carrying stuff, when you actually then carry things or drag things backward, look at that position you're in right there.
Yep.
So like for my kids, they'll be strong backward, they'll be strong there. If you take a kid who's dragging stuff backward there and can handle their body weight here, they wouldn't need the data I showed, but it could be useful for them to help other people.
Yes. So, I mean, we're not going to talk about this right now. We will talk about it soon, but part of your zero program is sledding, correct?
It's like an optional, simply going backward is like an optional warm-up to what I just showed you there, that's the formula.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because you could be in your apartment and you could just start getting that circulation.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, moving on to carries.
There's a lot of different ways you can carry. Something I've been getting into a little bit more is just some single arm carries. Just, doing stuff like this. And I realize not everyone has access to this, but it's kind of fun to show some cool stuff, and you can kind of figure out whatever ways you could probably actually load up a gi with some sand and you could probably just grab a hold of it or whatever type of thing you can think of. But I just like doing this, and I'll walk with this. Or you can do something similar with kettlebells. I have something a little different than a kettlebell. I have these grip bells, and I like to just do just a weighted carry. What are these? Was it a suitcase carry? Was it the guy that we had on the show that was taking credit for inventing the
Dan John,
yeah. So actually, I'll usually use the heavier one. I'll show you this one over here. I'll take this guy, 75 pounds, and what I'll do, because you're trying to work your grip, trying to get some work through your traps, you're trying to get some good work through your core. So I'll actually kind of go here, do a couple reps, and then I'll start to walk with it. I might even stop, do some reps here, boom, boom, and then keep going. It's almost like I'm just trying to get my core to just get extremely fatigued, which it already kind of is, because I did a bunch of these the other day. And just different positions. While I'm doing this, I can get down lower or whatever. And then I just try to finish up, starting to really feel it in the grip and the traps. And so you could pick up anything. It could be a plate. It could be a dumbbell. Whatever you have access to. There's really not too much to be cautious with. I think that you are okay if you're leaning, but if you start to lean excessively and round at the same time, you're trying to walk and you're just in a screwed up position, just try to pick maybe a little bit more appropriate weight. I do think that in the beginning you should be able to kind of level it off and hold it a little straighter, but I see nothing wrong with having a little bit of bend in there.
Carrying is such a good capacity because it's something that is a necessity. It is, you're gonna pick up and carry things everywhere. But it's more so actually a necessity in places that aren't the United States or areas that don't have as much transportation. So like when you go to other countries, when you go to countries in the Middle East, countries in certain areas in Africa, certain areas even in Asia, right? People work. People carry things from one point to the other. My grandma told me stories of having to carry her books miles to school, having to carry water and food from her village back home for miles. So they had to traverse with weight. And one thing that you see, actually before we even get to that, I think one good thing you can either do this in school or you can do this on your walk. And this is something I do on my walk every single day, is I'll take a training sandbag and I will load it. Now, people already ruck. Rucking exists. So you have those rucksacks, you can load 40, 50, 60, whatever type of poundage. Military guys know a lot about carrying. But the main reason why I like carrying things in terms of like using the training sandbag is because of the ways that you have to adjust your body for the load when walking for long duration. So this isn't just walking across a gym. This is walking for 2 miles. This is walking for maybe 3 miles. If you're gonna carry 10, 20, 30 pounds, how do you have to adjust the load against your structure for miles on end?
It's annoying.
It's annoying. But the thing is if you learn that, number one, the thing you were mentioning about not like having this crumpled structure, if you learn how to, and this is why you don't start with 3 miles, maybe you start with like half a mile, right, with much lighter load, but you have something that you can load on your body, and let's say you load it on your shoulder, well, you're not just gonna slump and walk like this. That's gonna have major compression. You're gonna compress your nerves. You're gonna cause massive problems. You have to learn that you have to press your shoulder and your scapula into that so you can bring space to these areas, and then you can walk efficiently. But the thing about this is that after maybe, who knows, 3 minutes, this is gonna get sore. How do you adjust? You move it to your other shoulder. Boom, you can walk another 5, 6, 8 minutes. Okay, this is getting kind of heavy. How do you adjust? Move it to the other shoulder? You could. Or you could come to this type of gable position and walk like this, right? Where you're still having to interact with this with your body and you have to move efficiently through space with a weight. Again, you could do this on a walk. You could take your kids on a walk and they could have some light things to carry. You could carry something. It's not something you have to look at as a workout. It's just learning how to move with weight through space for long periods of time. But the funny thing that I don't think people maybe realize a lot here is that the most efficient way to walk with any type of load is something that people have been doing for centuries, and it's head loading. So you would take the load, you would stack it at the very top of your structure, and as you talked about, you don't just crumple under the load. If I relaxed my neck, right, that would cause major nerve damage. But why is it that in other countries, women are carrying 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds overhead, walking for miles, up hills, getting water and all these things, water that sloshes back and forth, but you see them just walking so well.
It's a super efficient way.
It's extremely efficient. But the thing is what my neck is doing is my neck is pushing into this bag. I'm getting my neck tall. I'm elongating my structure into the bag. This is something I could walk like this for 30 or 40 minutes without getting tired. And the funny thing is, as I was telling Ben, your neck isn't the thing that gets sore. The thing that gets sore is the middle of your back. This is where you'll get sore. Now, this again.
We need that built up for squats.
You know what?
That mid-back for squats and deadlifts is amazing.
This is another way you can carry.
Yep.
Right? The axial loading of the spine is how we squat generally. But it's very rare that anyone in the United States does head loading. And head loading is the truest form of compressing your whole body from the skull to the feet.
Is this where you're going to tell people about your 300-pound hat?
No, but this is the thing.
Oh, they can't order it yet.
This can strengthen the whole body. And again, on a walk. So let's say that this could be, if you guys have sometimes kids have a track at school and they do walks during the day.
Yep.
If somehow kids had a light load, let's say, hey, just carry this 5, 10, 15, whatever. And kids could pick the load, right? Let's say they wanted to pick up a 30-pound sandbag and carry it while they're around the track 3 or 4 times. And then they grab something lighter, but they walk with load for duration, right? So not just for across the room, because strong men do this. They just walk with a yoke, but it's very high intensity, low duration, right? And it's very tense. because they can't let anything move. But if I'm walking with this, I can literally walk around this whole gym very, very quickly while keeping this in balance, while strengthening my whole structure to be able to handle this type of load, to fight against this. And it's very rare that you teach the whole body. Like I have that neck program on the ATG app.
Yep.
We're doing these isometric things, but that right there, that gets the neck and everything else with movement through space. You learn how to coordinate the body with load. So that's why carrying is an essential part of what I do. I take that bag and every day it'll be a minimum 1 mile, at most 3 miles. But I will carry something every single day because it forces the body to learn how to adjust. And if I want higher intensity, I'll take my 140-pound bag and maybe I'll go with a mile, and that's the day I'll push myself. Thing is, I can drop the bag, do other things, pick it up, walk with it. So it's not like you have to carry it the whole time. You can put it down, move around, pick it up.
You could do it with one of those water jugs that everyone has at their house where they're, refilling their waters.
And
you can do it with anything, and you can do like a side carry like that where it's kind of in the way of the legs.
Right.
You got to sort of figure out how to manage it.
Right? You can carry things in so many ways, but the cool thing is the adjustments that must happen as you're walking for a long duration. You have to bring it here, you have to bring it here, you have to bring it here.
The reason why I can't sneak in some reps is some curls too while you're doing it.
You can, right? Seriously.
This is gold. I'll give you, so as a learner and observer, this is gold for me in training my students. So I'll give you my recap on like exactly how I'm gonna use that data with them.
Let's go.
Number one, the variety is nice for kids. We're talking about, my kids are 3 and 4. So I got a long time. So I come from the background of trying to get therapy to the knee. So Louis Simmons invented a sled. Charles Poliquin, Olympic trainer, extensively used backward sled with Olympic athletes who were going to miss the Olympics because of knee problems. But this was like gentle enough for the knee to get it stronger. Well, with my students, and I make sleds, okay? It's actually too hard to have enough sleds, get the weight set up. It doesn't work on every surface. So when I make gyms, boom, what first thing I put in? Turf, sled for the students. Sleds don't always slide the same on grass, but you can drag. So if we take the sandbag, boom, get different size sandbags. So not only, and that's our third category today is actually like pulling things.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about carrying things with just sandbags and kettlebells, because with the kettlebell, I can get people here for the squats, and I can easily get, like from Rogue, lots of kettlebell. I can have 10 kettlebells lined up and then train a bunch of students. For me to use something, I almost have to be able to set up 10 of it easily and relatively affordably. So I can get bags, fill them with the sand, which is relatively affordable. As I showed, the sand, $7 per 50 pounds here in California, where your latte costs more than that. So it's basically one latte per 50 pounds, depending on where you live.
Very challenging too, just to walk with stuff overhead.
Yeah, so let's get that one.
It's another great practice.
So let's get that one down. Yeah, if you were just going for sheer the most weight you could lift, so for the ankle, I would have people walk forward and backward with 2 kettlebells. Then what I noticed from you guys is getting into the core stuff, 1 kettlebell. You're also gonna see, since I've been playing with the kettlebell stuff, I've noticed I don't have to do any maintenance work for elbow pain because I was a psycho growing up with shooting and doing push-ups, so I had just like nasty elbow pain. The kettlebell and also ring work, which we'll cover in the pulling, rings and kettlebells is elbow therapy in itself. And then you have stuff getting up like he was showing with the sandbag. So if someone only had kettlebells, you can still, this is still like the single kettlebell is doing stuff. And then as he was showing with the sandbag, so the sandbag carry or the kettlebell carry for now getting up in there. And then I think the head thing is, I didn't even notice which way you had the thing.
So
I was watching, I didn't notice if you were this way or the other way.
Yeah, I was that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this.
Push your head into that.
Yeah, you naturally are like trying to stand tall. And even basketball guys who tend to be tall and skinny, they actually need the neck work. They're used to coming down through, this was an old Charles Poliquin thing with basketball guys. They need actually some neck work because they're the ones most likely to be like this. And then of course with the football guys and stuff, we're talking about life-changing stuff because the stronger the neck, it does help the concussions.
Yeah.
Nothing I've shown you, whether it be for the knee or the neck, is absolute protection, but it's just more ability in these areas, less difficulty with the demand. So mainly for the 2 arms, I'll have my people go forward and backward because it's more load on the legs and the lower legs. Then with one arm carry and or sandbag, they can just go forward. They could go backward, but that's more getting into here, and then you have on the head for the neck. And then and if carrying is only every other week, that's just gonna stay fun. And then if it's the strongest kid in class versus the weakest kid, is still gonna have that achievement of getting around that track, even if they take breaks and more. And
there's also no reason why, I was doing this years ago. It's the start of my weight loss journey. There's no reason why you can't just walk when you're doing exercises with dumbbells. You're doing overhead, you're doing lateral raises, you're doing curls. There's absolutely no reason why you can't just go on a walk down this driveway, walk back, and then maybe switch to something else. And the same thing with your kids. You can have them do all these different exercises, and then they might not be able to all do them at the same time. But you have those kids doing that, and you have other kids working on sandbags. You have other kids. You have like stations, the way I had to do it, because having 30 or 40 people at one time is super crazy.
Yeah, for me, it's like I set up 10 slants, 10 of it. That's why the rings, I can set up a bunch of rings, bunch of slants. Then they're having a great time. But now with sandbag kettlebell,
it also doesn't have to be uniform. You know what I mean? Like one kid could have a 30 and he's messing with it and it's a little heavy for him. Another kid could have a 20.
Oh yeah, I set up different weights with the kettlebells. And same with the sandbags. I would have like different weights there.
I want to add in just a quick note of safety for the head carrying, because it is actually, again, people, light women, it's not even new, light women do this all across the world.
I just mean new for people listening.
Exactly, new for people lifting. So what I want to say is, first, when doing that, don't load it heavy initially. Don't try to freaking put 60 pounds on your head.
This actually feels good. How much is this?
It's like 58 pounds.
This
feels good.
This feels good. It can't be that heavy, but it's probably less than that. But maybe start at a weight that actually feels good. Do the workout and then make sure you're not too sore after, something like that.
Exactly. Could be 20 pounds. It doesn't need to be 30, 40, 50. Don't try to push load on this initially, because again, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing this all our lives. So what I want to be able to do is maybe put 120, 150. That might take me a year and a half, 2 years. I'm not going to do that right now. This needs to be easy. I need to be able to do this for a few miles, which I can now. So I'm going to slowly increase. Second thing is push the tongue lightly against the roof of your mouth when you're doing this and any type of neck work. Okay, it'll activate certain musculature in the neck. So if you push your tongue towards the roof of your mouth, what do you notice when you do that?
Pretty strong.
Any type of neck work you do will be stronger when you push the tongue slightly towards the roof of your mouth. So keep that in mind. And the last thing is, and you don't have to do this the whole walk, but Ben, I want you to now clench your jaw a bit and push the tongue to your roof of your mouth as you're walking.
Yeah, when you said the tongue to the roof of my mouth, I also instinctively clenched the jaw.
Exactly.
And it felt really stable.
You notice
I know this is a weakest link for me. And to give people an idea of why, we're not just doing we're not just trying to get to the foundations for shits and giggles. One of the biggest upsets for me in my playing career was missing a chunk of getting ready for basketball season because I threw out my neck so bad because it was this thing where everyone had to get under this barbell squat. So I'm 6 foot, 128 pounds. There was no foundation up here. And so getting under whatever, I didn't have the musculature. So now I couldn't run for a couple weeks. I'm on the sideline and this is basketball. They just think I'm just so lame. Who's ever been out, who's ever missed basketball games from
oh, my neck. You got the little neck brace on.
The coach just thought I was just such a wuss. And I was trying to keep playing through the pain. It was
so debilitating when you.
But it was so annoying because it's they didn't even know how to get my legs stronger. And I'm hurt with my knees hurt and my neck hurts, and I got the acne coming in school. I mean, it's just, if you ever wonder why I have endless passion for this stuff, I should have had some more video back in high school, and you would see why I'll always be fired up about giving people foundations to enjoy their sport and not have coaches screaming at them and not knowing how to help them. So,
want to do some backwards drags?
Yeah.
And I'll say this last thing.
I'll start smoking myself with that.
I want to say this last thing because again, I know people want to get you're going to get excited. You can do it every day, but don't force yourself to do it every day. This is going to be a new stimulus for a lot of you. So it could be every other day when you take your walks with load, right? But just be smart about it. Don't just start head loading every single day because you can. People do this around the world, but they've been doing this since childhood and they're used to it. We're not. So we have to progress the stuff smartly and slowly. But that, and don't hold your breath.
And when it comes to dragging things, so this is game changer for me is seeing that I don't need sleds to do good dragging for my students. Dragging the sandbag is better for me. You're gonna feel your quad smoked, but let's say someone's rehabbing a shoulder. You can even get into shoulder positions. You can work, all right, the basketball knee pain, the soccer knee pain. You know that girls' female soccer has the most knee surgeries of any sport? So it's not the running. Sure, the running may tire you out. It's the constant stopping. Like, why girls' soccer and not girls' track? It's like 100x the knee surgeries in girls' soccer versus girls' track.
Yeah.
Stopping. And so with this is a gentle way to work the reverse of stopping. You're getting in those stopping positions and getting stronger to handle that. And this is where I started to learn, like with the knees, that if something is not painful, you can work really hard at it and start like building up quote unquote work ethic. So this is where I started getting really good work ethic there, is dragging a sled backward, because, now that the pain's not there, and I became like a savage. Like in basketball, I was like, all right, I'm gonna outwork anyone, because if they went head to head with me in a sled, they would just tap out mentally before me. But I was finally not with knee pain. So that's why the sled's been so awesome for people. You're able to build ability to slow down without the knee pain.
Now,
Smoke.
the
But
sled
it feels so good.
I think, Mark, you're the first person I saw using this for sled drags. Now recently seen a lot more people that I have getting training sandbags. They're also pulling sleds outside and using it as a sled, right? You can do this in grass. But one of the things I love about the sled isn't that you can just pull it forwards and push it forwards and pull it backwards, but the variability of the ways that you can pull and push a sled. And this right here is another one of Mark's inventions. Is which shake strap is this?
I don't know. That's just like the tricep rope, or the long, maybe it's the longer of the two tricep ropes.
Okay, so obviously with this implement, it has a little bit of stretch. So as I'm pulling the sled, right, you can pull backwards, right? You can do rows and stuff, but the coolest thing is the fact that now, for myself being a grappler, I like the fact that I can put my hand in here, come into these types of positions that I would in grappling, and maybe even pull with one arm right here, let it pull me. So this is pulling my arm, and I'm not super tense here. I have some slack through my system. So this is, the weight is pulling on me, but I'm pulling at it back, right? I can get into this type of choking position, okay? Now, as I come back here, guys,
Always thinking of ways of killing people.
if I keep going backwards, you can then also add a little bit of rounding to your back and become comfortable. Pulling with a neutral spine, pulling with a flex spine, right? Doing on both arms, pulling with the flex spine here, turning, dragging here, pulling laterally, right? Using this, letting this pull your arm back. Pulling with one arm, forward, laterally, so we can go fast laterally too with this sled in this way, where we can sprint with it. The
That
sled,
way's tough.
yeah,
Where you're sideways like that, it's real hard.
I'll just do this here too, just to make it easier. But once again, forward and backward, and in athletics and sport, lateral movement's important. But now we have this, boom. Right? So, if you have a training sandbag, and you have a strap, and you have some grass, there is infinite amount of ways that you can push.
This is another way that kids can win with cardio who have been defeated by running, and they feel like running is punishment.
Yeah.
Running should be something that's fun. You can use it in sport. You
need
can do
capacity
running. You
for
can
it.
do running as a sport, but it's nice to have options. That's what you're giving. We all enjoy fitness, yet we all train slightly differently. So that would be giving your students. You're not trying to, what do they call it? Like, where you only learn like one side. Like you're not in school. Like you're trying to give them options to set them up for the rest of their life, not just make them exactly like you.
This is options for fitness. This
This
is your
is
different
options.
classes.
Worst thing with strength and conditioning is usually pretty absent, depending on the sport.
And this is real world conditioning. And the sled is is so gentle
Oh,
on the
it
body.
just-
And if you think about
Oh
pulling,
my God, yeah.
You can do it every day. I mean, you could sled yourself.
yeah, this gives a heavy stimulus, but in a fundamentally safe way. Why is it fundamentally safe? Because I'm not up on Mark Bell's, the load is not here.
Yeah.
Don't take this one out of context. The load is on the ground. So like worst case scenario is Mark wouldn't move the thing.
Right.
I loaded a sled with 1,000 pounds just to show people and had my mom try to drag it.
Yeah.
She couldn't budge it. But my 72, 71, she's up there. My 70-plus-year-old mom was able to attempt dragging 1,000 pounds and be unharmed because the load isn't here, the load was on the ground.
Yep.
So it's fundamentally safe. Anything you want to add on the sledding? And really, what are we calling it? We're calling this pulling because
Pulling,
we'll
yeah.
finish with some other because Mark can row with it. It doesn't mean only for the quads.
I think whenever you're talking about, walking backwards, I think walking backwards is a great starting point. I always really like walking forward with a sled, but what I'll say is, like, I think one of the most valuable things you can find in your area is a hill. If you can walk forward and backwards up a hill, you'll get so much out of it. And I'm not saying like you don't necessarily need a sled or whatever. I would encourage you to get a sled. It just gives you more options. But walking backwards up a hill, it will completely annihilate you. You'll be shocked. You'll be almost embarrassed that it's way harder than what you're thinking. And obviously the steeper the hill and the longer the hill and so forth. But try to find a hill somewhere in your area and just start with walking it. You don't even have to run it at first. Just start walking it, and you'll be surprised at what it can do for your knees.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something that could be put around this so that you could use on asphalt somehow. Like,
Well, don't worry about that at school starting off because you have grass and stuff. You got
True.
a lot of grass.
True.
Which is actually why on asphalt, a sled is much easier, like an actual metal sled.
Yes.
Whereas then on the grass, it can get a bit trickier on grass because it's not, like school grass is not usually going to be perfectly flat. There's a reason that anecdotally, hills and sleds are very common in the regimens of some of the greatest longevity athletes. Like Marty St. Louis, 37 years old, led the NHL in scoring, went from undrafted to Stanley Cup champion, MVP.
yeah.
It still stands, 37. He's the oldest guy to lead the league in scoring. He was the sled king at his gym.
Yeah.
He would do it backward. I think it would start forward. He'd go forward, then sideways, then backward, something like that. It would be 50 yards of each. 50 yards forward, sideways, and backward. So we call that like the Marty St. Louis sled routine. But then you have Jerry Rice, Walter Payton doing hills.
Yep.
Daryl Green, who was like kind of regarded along with Deion Sanders as the fastest guy in NFL history.
Yep.
He called me on the phone and said that he does hills backwards. So he saw my stuff. He's like, I've been going hills backwards since I was in college. You got to find this clip of him at 57 years old, and he's going uphill like this. He was
Wow.
doing it. He was doing it with a famous current NFL guy.
Yeah.
And he's 57, boom, like as quick as the young guy. And he can still run and stuff. 57. I don't know if there's a 57-year-old, but look at that position. The moment you go backward up a hill, what are you doing? You're in that knee over toe position right there.
Yeah.
Super
So-
safe too, because your toe is meeting
Yeah.
the upward heel every time. No heel striking.
Yep.
You're staying on the toes pretty good,
And then I would
almost
show.
automatically.
Then I would show, because they also asked me to teach a faculty class at the school. So I'm
Okay.
going from like my 3-year-old all the way to like an 85-year-old in the same day. And so for my 3-year-old, my 3 and 4-year-old, they swing around on rings. They try to do pull-ups. They naturally do rings. Then in the exercise class for the older people, you can scale a row with the rings. So we're still talking about pulling, because let's say you were too weak with the rings. You'd pull, you just wouldn't get all the way up.
Yep.
So pulling, whether it's a sled or with rings for the upper body, it's incredibly safe. Like if you fail a row there, it's different than failing a bench and you're stuck, or failing a squat. And so here you have, like if you're, I guess I gotta move some of this stuff out of here. So if you have here, I can build like a nice foundation for my athletes there, but then with the 85-year-old, she can back up and she totally feels it strengthening between those shoulder blades.
Yeah.
And then I can also, for the throwers, they're able to resist. They're able to get stronger in reversive throwing. And if I show similar, I can try to get really strong in reversive throwing. And worst case scenario, I just don't get all the way up. So it's a way to get strong in reversive throwing, so for knee surgeries, shoulder surgeries, pulling with rings and or Sandbag, Sled. Talking incredible stuff. These are $40. So I line up these. Look at what you can do with such cheap stuff for kids.
I just want to show this last thing with the sled. It's like a little bit of an embarrassing movement in some way, but it will fry out your lower back.
I know what you're about to do.
And fly out your hamstrings, your butt. But your booty's out there for the world to see. You take these steps here.
Similar for the knee to the lower back.
Crazy leaned over position.
Yep. This is gold because you're strengthening that posterior, but again, the load is not right here.
I've never done it
so
before.
For someone,
can't do it for very long.
I want to try that after.
I teach people for hamstring rehab.
Yeah.
And for similar concept of, okay, here, like Mark, go ahead and sit on it.
Just stand on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you can see it's hard for me to move it. Look at the position. Look at my body, how I'm having to get just to like try to angle that.
Oh, I want to try that.
But the point is that the knee doesn't then hurt. Oh, you have enough leverage. You'll be able to.
I won't pull fast. I just want to.
Right. So this is different than getting under a heavy squat.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's better. It's just different. This is the rehab version of squatting and stuff. And it's the same. Well, it's the same here. Stay on there. I'm not going to be able to move it this way, but similar. Look, I'm challenging my posterior chain.
Oh my God!
But do you see the load is not here?
Yeah.
So if I did that with a bar on the back, I could get into trouble. So here, for hamstring rehab, try to walk even like heel toe for hamstring rehab.
So here
it can be the balls of the feet, but the point is it's like an RDL walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're strengthening the posterior, but you don't have that risk of like if a lot of people. I think it was Louis Simmons himself. He invented the reverse hyper after getting injured right on a heavy good morning.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the good morning's a bad exercise.
Right.
But you're not going to break your back. Like you can't break your back when in this position. Whereas if you went too heavy, yes, like if my mom loaded that 1,000 pounds, if I put that weight here, if you went heavy enough.
You want to stand on that? One thing that I think is really cool, and okay, so two things, and I'll be quick with this. First is, there probably is a level of muscular hypertrophy that is too much for being your best athletic self on like a field, right? For example, my legs can be bigger, but I purposely do not squat weight as much because that size on my legs actually makes things a lot harder for me. But one thing that's really cool is that with this right here, number two, kids can get involved. So let's say you do have a very heavy sandbag out there.
Kids love this stuff. They love dragging stuff. They do
just
it
a
instinctively.
kid like this,
my
going
kids
back
drag
and forth.
each other. I got them an actual winter little sled in the gym, and they take turns backward dragging each other. So you start to see these fundamental patterns. What will kids do if you don't even tell them what to do? If you don't even teach them what to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kids can get involved, but the other thing is,
Don't sit on it though.
I won't sit on it. I won't sit on it. The other thing
Just
is,
so I can get a real set.
this obviously can be progressed and it will build tissue. I'm not saying anything's wrong with building tissue, but imagine if somehow you were able to load, like, I don't know, 400 pounds, drag it, 450, drag it in a bunch of different positions where you're in this deep position with your legs. You can load tissue on there, and that tissue is still gonna be good to help you move through space.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm trying to actually get into like a hamstring stretch.
Right?
Like I'm trying to get that hamstring tissue there. So
Tell me your hamstrings won't grow if you do that.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great exercise.
I love that for like rehab, getting
Yep.
into, I keep my hamstring flexibility mostly with fun stuff. So you could static stretch the hamstring. I like seeing, can I, off that split squat and off stuff like that, can I maintain a decent split without any static stretching? Static stretching is cool. I find this more fun.
Yeah.
So if I do stuff, I do from leg swings to RDLs to stuff like that. Keeps the hamstrings.
I'm
And
excited.
Seema, try another set of that where you're pulling it forward.
Which one?
I think you'll really like that. Where
The one you did
straps
between the legs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wasn't able to do that. Okay.
This also happens to flow nicely with what we're making as this mock program, because you have Wednesday where now you're dragging things. It's actually like less stress on the spine and the joints. It's kind of a nice break in the week. Like if someone was gonna copy our week, it's kind of like a nice midweek.
Can one of you guys
recovery.
kneel on this?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Mark, was I doing anything wrong when I was doing that?
No,
Like,
no.
is there anything?
You maybe don't need to step as wide,
Okay, so.
but you
try
can step. I mean, there's nothing wrong with stepping wide. Yep. Which just completely torches your glutes.
Very, very helpful to have in your toolbox.
Like that, dude.
Very helpful to have in your toolbox for rehab, because we could say sometimes if I post,
that's cool, isn't it?
sometimes if I post a hamstring exercise, someone will say just sprint. Well, do you know what the #1 injury in sprinting is?
Yeah, hamstring.
The hamstring. So
Yeah.
yes, sprinting is valuable. Two things can be true. Sprinting can be good for the hamstrings, but if the #1 thing you're most likely to hurt from sprinting is your hamstrings, well, that wouldn't be an accurate statement to say just sprint for your hamstring health. That's the #1 injury.
Yeah.
So it helps to have both worlds of
Right.
some system where you build up to sprinting,
Yeah.
along with rehab methods like that.
Well, let's even think about this. Like, obviously, load will slow you down. And you don't have to go 100%, but how fast, right? When we do some of these things, how fast can we go while keeping relatively safe? So if I'm like, I'm gonna get from here to there as fast as possible, with this in between my legs. Whoa. Right? You can sprint these things
Yeah.
without sprinting.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
slowing
mean?
you down like
Yeah,
a hill.
it's for basketball, it's great. Like this is great conditioning for someone who's been injured. So like,
Yeah.
all right, your knee's been injured, so then you get out of shape. This is how my kids do it instinctively. They go backward and then they just try to rapidly
That's how
work
you get them
backward.
back in shape.
Yeah, exactly. You get back in shape. How cool that if you've been out, you can get back in shape in a way that's directly helping you to handle the original injury that you had. Because
Yeah.
I used to think of it like knee injury, try to get back in shape. Then my knees are hurting even more from trying to get back in shape. So this was basically, I was able to ditch the painkillers and never look back once I realized, okay, I can get my conditioning in a way that's getting healing for the knees. So we've covered picking things up. We've covered, now it's gonna get pretty spicy and fun.
Yeah.
All we've covered so far is picking things up via squatting, deadlifting essentially, and then carrying those things. But sometimes it's more advantageous to drag something instead. Like my kids can drag each other on the sled. They wouldn't be able to pick each other up and do that. So now it gets into what you could call coiling, because if I asked you to throw this, like you could tell right off the bat, like someone who's not going to throw that far. Like, no, you actually get in like whether you like it or not. So I'm someone who doesn't train coiling, except I actually do, because in my sport of basketball, I've taught people for 10 years now that for a crossover to be good, you actually have to commit to that position.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting into that coiling position there. So you're putting the head there and whipping back. Whereas here, you can tell the guy, like even without being a sport fan, you can tell this wouldn't fake someone out. And then this would have more of a chance of faking someone out. So I've been coiling really hard for 10 plus years by getting my knees healthy, then observing like even MJ, he was able to get people to bite on these things by getting into those positions. So when you see the best players at faking people out, they're not right here. They're actually...
Yeah, Corey Schlesinger, he had such a great comment when he was with us. He said the best athletes in the world have really low shins.
Yeah.
And I was like, low shins? What the hell? And I was like, oh,
They're practically...
yeah.
MJ, like before like the last shot, he's like almost... If you actually were to watch the last shot, he's like totally down, and also he's getting tons of coiling. But the point is, I would say for someone out there, my best strength in basketball is basically coiling, and I don't practice coiling off the basketball court. So I'm just giving people that context. Just as someone could probably do things naturally, that they don't need my knee ability zero system at all. In fact, you don't. So I think it's still good to give context to say, I respect coiling. Coiling is true. If you wanted to throw something as far as you can, if you want to do a move, you have to do that. Do you have to do that in your training outside of your sport? You could be a world-class athlete and never do it outside of your sport.
And maybe the bigger guys who can't move as well, maybe they should practice it outside the basketball
Exactly.
court. Maybe.
I'm a knee rehab guy,
Right.
but not everyone has to do my knee rehab system. In fact, most don't. Most can keep those natural qualities and not have to do the rehab system.
Want to chuck some med balls in the other room? I have
So let's break it down. And yes, throwing medicine balls for kids or anyone is an awesome way to work on coiling without even having to explain what that is.
So basically just like the way I like to do it is just take all the balls that are on this side and chuck them down there. This one's only 6 pounds. There's a big variety of weights that we have here. And so just let it rip.
Yeah, I mean,
you can hit just about anything except for the windows, but
in Nsima, this would be cool to look at the form. So off the basketball court, I don't do any coiling. But if you told me like there's money on the line of how far I can throw this, so I just have like no experience, like
nice.
I'm gonna have to. It's part of that. So for a kid, I think the medicine ball, incredible.
You have to get your body into it.
And it's very fun. You can have kids see how far they can throw. I've done a lot of medicine ball stuff with
Get you
kids.
on this treadmill.
So this is, and then you can take, like I did my right side. So for kids, I would have them like, okay, now see, like that left side for a lot of kids is going to be way weaker.
Yeah.
Because they're used to throwing this way. So believe it or not, that's helpful for long-term lower back health, is to throw with that non-dominant side. And Nsima could probably hit the back wall with this thing.
Nice.
Nice.
It's actually a skill too.
Now
to be able
throw
to
it with the left side. Yeah.
There's a skill to it to be able to throw it straight too. You'll notice
point.
like when you have kids throw it, the kids that are more athletic and more skilled, they'll be able to throw it wherever they want it. The way that I use methylene blue is very similar to the way that you're using it. I don't use it every day. I think things that push that button to change your mood, you might want to be a little cautious with it. In my opinion, and the feelings that I get from methylene blue, it does change my mood a little bit. It's a mood enhancer. When I go out and run, I feel like I do have a little bit more endurance. I do feel like I can breathe a little bit better, but that could also be, I've been training very hard as well, so it could be an adaptation to that as well. But as we've had, David Herrera and many other people have come on the show before, they basically just say methylene blue is a electron donor, and it allows the body to utilize energy just more efficiently. And I don't know if I can feel that per se, but I know that I feel better when I'm running, when I'm using methylene blue.
Yeah, post sessions of grappling, that's when I usually use. I use it 2 or 3 times a week. Post sessions of jiu-jitsu, I always feel like I have more energy, like much more energy than I typically have, which makes me understand that, if I did want to go for longer sessions, I could, but it also helps me understand that I'm going to be recovering better for my next session the next day, which is a big deal. But yeah, I think that if you guys, first off, this stuff is great because it's third-party tested. Methylene blue, in other sources like the stuff that you'll see on Amazon or like random websites, there's no regulation. So a lot of people have levels of toxicity from the supplement because it's not dosed correctly. And there are other things in that methylene blue. Again, this is something that is lab made. It's not you know what I mean? So you got to be careful. And this is why we like using this stuff, because we know it's not going to mess us up.
You can go on their website. You can go on the Transcriptions website and you can get a report of the third-party tested methylene blue and double, triple check it for yourself. In addition to that, they have the Canatine, which I have not used that much, but when I have used it pre-workout, I did notice I get a zip from it. I think it has nicotine in it, along with a couple other things to go along with the methylene blue. So do yourselves a favor, check out Transcriptions, check out what they got. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. It's kind of fun too. You start to get some of these heavy. This one's like 20, so it's not too crazy.
Coming in.
Nice. It's weird what you have to do with your back leg.
Kids will find
these.
it fun and competitive against each other, but also
Yeah. Oh, nice.
It's an interesting lesson in athleticism for kids. Is like taking this. So for me as a lighter guy, I know that
Nice, man.
when we do throws for a lighter guy, I tend to be able to throw farther than people who weigh heavier than me.
Because you got to be quick, yeah. It's part of it.
Yeah. Like, so if someone can bench more than me, squat more than me, deadlift more than me, I can still usually throw farther than them with a medicine ball. Nice. There we go. But like, did that go farther than I'm not sure. And that's my little, like we're on the playground being competitive.
15 though. Let's do that 15.
Oh, okay.
See, now it turns into a competition. But this is fun.
Exactly. And for me, I would now be going, okay, now to get my left side to coil up. For me on the basketball court, I need that left side to be able to coil up as good as the right. You'll find that kids tend to throw not nearly as far with their non-dominant side.
All right, so that was left side, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. Look at that. That's the winner.
Yep.
That's the winner right there.
But I had, I haven't really, I don't do many throws, but I noticed as we've been doing this, I had to load much more, and right?
Now-
and it teaches you that naturally, trying to get it farther and farther.
And so if you set up,
Yeah.
look, and again, what do we have? Very, very affordable, very accessible.
Yep.
You could get from 10 to 20. So like when we've done these, you get people to pick the one that's like the right for them. Right. Guess what? My kids like throwing it. They'll pick up the 3-pounder or whatever. You can throw it backwards. You can, but I particularly see that there's value in throwing here where you're having to coil up. And so this is going to be really good for the back to throw from either side.
I want to add in real quick. I think we always got to know this stuff is fun, but like even though it's so fun, it can also hurt you. If you haven't thrown load, first off, many of us haven't thrown in a while, but if you haven't thrown load, you could go for that intensity and then be like, oh shit.
I don't know. It's gonna,
right?
But relatively speaking, this is still something where you can relatively go for broke with low risk.
Especially
But
young,
don't go for broke immediately.
Yeah, but
especially young kids.
But as so as kids, they're gonna have a ton of fun with it, and by being powerful with either side, they're gonna have a healthier lower back. But even for adults, it's fun. My parents are out there, you know, like throwing it. When we've brought the medicine balls out, everyone likes to do it.
What load tends to be, because I know every person has a different level of strength, but for an older person, trying to throw with a level of intensity, what do you think they should grab? Because people might say 15 pounds, that's
I think
light.
we were doing like 6 or 10. Like I think if you go, depending, okay, my kids, the lowest they make, I don't know, they're throwing 1 pound. Have a set from 1 to 20. Or get like, if you have a class, get a 10, test it out, and then see, do I need some 8s? Do I need some 12s? Probably you want a little variety because you want all the kids to be able to do this.
This is only 6. This will feel about the best. 6, 8, 10 pounds.
Okay.
For just about anybody.
And it's
But
fun.
it's nicer to have heavier ones too.
It's fun for kids. I think that boom, there's your Thursday workout. We're just throwing some medicine balls.
Yeah.
Now you're like, hey, can I go do some extra pull-ups? Sure. Like so, you want to let kids almost like have fun with it and let their self-determinism, let them build their workout routine almost as you're laying the foundations, rather than setting up, here's 10 things you have to do, and then they feel like they're not working hard.
Let me also add in real quick, doing this, there are certain things that you do that almost feel like they give you energy as you do them.
Oh yeah.
So like as I'm doing this, like I felt like a little bit of a lull in there as we were slowing down. But now I'm doing this, like I feel springy again. I feel like this level of excitement because I'm having to put all this force through this ball fluidly. Now, let me do this side real quick.
All
right. Oh shit.
Nice one.
Still a heck of throw.
That's a good launch.
So yeah, with getting, like you were saying, with getting the body,
with
getting the body winding up. Yeah, if you were gonna sprint now, you'd be like more primed to sprint from getting wound up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Let's not forget about a scoop too. Scoops are great. So just here.
Yep.
And then you can even try to touch the ceiling if you get like a right weight. 15 pounds or so is usually pretty good.
Let's try that out.
15, 20. You could probably get the 20 up there.
I don't want to like fuck your ceiling. See, I'm not going to do it on that. That's dangerous.
Just go dead center in the middle and just go straight up and go straight
you want to
up.
just go straight up?
Yeah, go straight up.
So I should try to touch the ceiling?
Yeah, you can touch the ceiling. I mean, try not to smash it, but you can. Go ahead. There you go.
Wow.
Nice. What weight is that?
That's 15.
Oh, nice. That was good.
Yeah, you got this.
Oh, that's different like that.
You did a little.
What did that feel like? Because you like.
Well, it's challenging your posterior chain at 100%.
Yeah.
Using that you're using everything in the posterior chain as much as you can. It's awesome. Nice.
See if I can get 20 to touch the ceiling.
I think you can.
Close. One more.
It's good how it's challenging.
We're giving 100% effort in a way that's pretty safe and fun.
Yeah.
So.
One thing that is interesting about this is you normally don't do a lot.
Yeah.
Like the amount we're doing, like this is like you're getting to the point where it's a pretty good amount. Your microphone went flying.
But again, fun. Like it's building power, building coordination.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. Whoop.
Yeah, the challenge of touching that thing is super fun. You learn a bit about yourself too, to even be figuring out why the first one did it not get there? Why the second one did it get there?
And let me also mention this, like, you know
Can I repeat
I
it?
did a little hop to load
Yeah.
the ground.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't practice that, but it
plyo.
felt like this is what I have to do to try to get it up
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, a little
again,
plyometric.
Exactly. It's like a puzzle. All this stuff is a puzzle.
Yeah, it feels hard if you just stand still and try to throw it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's very difficult.
And again, you can mix up the type of throw.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 week you do, all right, how high, how far?
One hand?
Then you have, right,
Yeah.
like this is for basketball. I actually feel more confident in here because of the dribbling. And then, because I'm not like in this position, but a baseball player will probably be like, whoa, went off the hand. But now try to do that like with either side.
Yeah. Let me see what that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels awkward as hell on your left
Direct it
side.
forward. And you did that with your left hand, right?
No, but I think you might need a guide hand is what
Yeah.
I think it rolled off my. That's awesome.
Woo!
Yeah, doing that now, and then now going to the left side is really good for the back. To
You
just
see though,
stay.
I should have done that gently because I felt it didn't like pull, but I felt like, ooh, okay, slow down.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that more
It
gently.
gets
the
your
next
it gets
time.
your wrist and forearm in there even.
Yeah. Yeah. Do that on my left side now. Let's be nicer with it. Oh, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah, but
Nice.
but doing that is so good for the back.
Yeah.
You get a little different feel with this guy because it's a little bit like a kettlebell. So you can kind of come through here.
Yeah. Strongmen use these.
Yeah.
I like that. Left.
That was good. That was really good for left.
That's the one I feel most awkward in because in basketball, as I was saying, we can coil here, but when you're throwing in basketball, you don't get a wind-up period. Throwing in basketball is just like, it's just you have to do it skill-wise. Like if you're in basketball and you go like this, the whole defense is going to react.
Right.
Whereas in baseball, they get that time to wind up.
Yeah.
It's like those LeBron those no-look passes.
Right.
Like,
Right, because you, exactly.
Yeah, no look
Beautiful.
pass to the face.
yeah, man. And he throws it with like, it's fast.
Oh yeah.
With this, that, poof,
Yeah.
with that flick. It's so beautiful.
Yep.
We can mess around in here a little bit too. This is kind of fun. Just try to
Oh,
chuck.
there's like a volleyball court?
Yeah, this is April's court.
This is
Shoes are allowed on this court?
Yeah. mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just go on the other side and try, catching these, you got to be a little careful even though this is pretty light. Let me give it a launch.
But I think,
That's all right.
one cool thing about like catching lighter load is the one thing that I do a lot and I think is important is learning how to receive
Yeah.
force.
Yeah.
Right? So catch it, right?
Yeah.
Receive and decelerate that force.
And try
That's
to figure
another
out-
important aspect of athletics.
You try to figure out a way to manage it.
Yeah.
So another really cool a cool anecdote is the best defensive team in all of basketball at any level is University of Houston in college basketball. They've
Okay.
been to 6 straight Sweet 16s. So they're one of the only
Oh, right. Sorry, Ryan.
they're one of the most consistent teams of all time, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it through having the most talented guys.
Right.
They are savages physically, and this is a cool example.
Yeah.
They do heels elevated, controlled, progressive overload squats, but they also every Friday do strongman stuff. So every Friday, guess what they're doing? Dragging, carrying. They do this. I forget what they call it, but they do medicine ball volleyball. They're in sand and they do a game of medicine ball volleyball. We're talking about the most defensively dominant basketball team at any level of all time, essentially, if you take the stats.
Mark, what is Danny Ball? Is Danny Ball
That's
medicine
it.
ball?
We all had a similar mentor in Charles Poliquin.
Okay.
And Charles advised medicine ball for young athletes. And Charles mixed the squats, the deadlifts, the progressive overload with the strongman,
Yeah.
which is then, guess what you're doing with the strongman? All that natural movement stuff with load.
Yeah, this is Danny Ball right here.
So you don't even have to convince your school board or this or that. These days, if you want to coil and you want to do deep squats and stuff,
Yep.
take the most physically dominant team in sports. Now you no longer have to be like, hey, here's this weird knee guy doing this. No, no. Here's the most dominant physical team in sports.
I think a cool thing too is catching
nice
it on.
to-
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, catch it and throw it.
Catch it on like the opposite rotational side, right?
Right.
So I'll feel comfortable catching here and throwing here, but how about catching here?
Yep.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay, good. Woo. Catching on the opposite side and I
Coming
keep
in hot.
throwing it. Yeah, I throw with my left side, it sucks. But anyway, catch and throw with the
Yeah.
rotational opposite side. So,
Yeah,
so
shout
great.
out, because I didn't say his name, shout out Alan Bishop. I was
Yeah.
just with him in Texas at his facility
see.
shooting last week. So you guys might want to pull some of the visuals from his guys.
Alan Bishop.
Alan Bishop, you can see it on my Instagram or YouTube that I'm with him live seeing his squat progression. But you can also see how they do once a week of all this strongman type stuff.
Yeah.
So they're getting, like I said, the picking up, the carrying, the dragging, the coiling with the strongman day. Beautiful stuff. Our last topic today was mobility.
Ooh, before we go to that,
Yeah, yeah,
I want to show real quick.
because this was a great workout. So,
Yeah. Let me show you guys the rope real quick.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Because I look at that like you can regress all of the throwing we did with lighter balls, lighter equipment, lighter weight. But one of the reasons why I like the rope so much, and it's something that David Weck started a rope flow back in like 2000, but it's something that, number one, allows you to develop rotation, coiling, etc. Because, right, initially for people, they start and it's very a handsy experience, but one of the goals of the rope is learning how to use the body, the spine, the whole body to leverage against this. So you notice how my arms aren't moving anymore, right? And I'm rotating my spine. I'm leveraging, using my body to rotate this rope around. Arms aren't moving. So all these patterns that we are showing, as far as like throwing, single arm throwing pattern, right? With just this light object, I can work that pattern. Now this is my right side where I always throw things, but I can also work that pattern on my left side, learning how to use my body to fluidly put the rotation through the rope. One of the cool things is the underhand pattern is inherently the human walking pattern. So a lot of people, when they walk, they don't use their spine in movement. They walk here. They're super tight in the spine. Everything is leg driven. Maybe there's some arm swing. You notice athletes, good athletes who inherently have it, they have this head over foot, kind of like this rotational swagger that they walk with. And this underhand pattern that you work with the rope, again, initially it's very handsy for most people, but that underhand pattern teaches you how to rotate with the spine, getting that low intensity, repetitive rotation on both sides of the body. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's powerful, because you don't only get to work that right side rotation. As we were saying, all of us have a non-dominant side that's not as good. We're also able to naturally work that left side rotation. Left, right, left, right. Obviously, it can get super fancy and you can do all those things, but inherently, it's one of these practices that really helps people learn how to move better. And I think the second biggest thing about the practice, this is why I like rope flow and the kettlebells and stuff, is one of the reasons that you said the kettlebell is so good for your elbow. It pulls and it decompresses that joint, right? So when you're working with a kettlebell and the inertia of the bell is pulling at you, this inertia is pulling my arm apart. I'm not flexed here. I'm relaxed. I'm letting the weight pull me apart while maintaining a stable spine, stable arm, right? When you're doing these things with the rope, right, you're not flexed. All the tissues are relaxed. When you learn how to use your spine to funnel the energy through this rope, you also get some decompression, elongation of the spine, which is an opposite of the compressive forces that we generally will be putting on our structure with a lot of the things that we're working. So that's why I love putting all these things together. The sandbags, you need to bear load on your structure to increase bone density and all these other things. but we also need things that allow us to pull that structure apart, bring synovial fluid to the joints. It's also been shown to actually be good for cartilage when you're able to get space in between these areas. More fluid, more blood, more restorative things go to your joints. So that's why this practice for anyone young to old is like, it's good for the body, but it's also fun as hell.
It gets to be very hard to disassociate the parts of your body as you get older, or not necessarily just older, but if you don't utilize those functions in day-to-day life anymore. So your lower body is your lower body, and when your knee moves back, your whole body will want to go with it. It will want to rotate with it. Everything, your body is like a tombstone. It's just a slab, and so everything wants to go with it, which is problematic. And so you try to think of practices where it's like, let me get in some reps where I'm not that stone, you know, I'm able to just move a little bit more than normal and get in some good reps where the reps aren't, this isn't really costing me anything. You know, it's a little energy. It's like going on a walk, but it has different movement than just going on a walk. And it feels safe, feels comfortable. I've been doing this probably for what, a year or so?
Yeah,
I've
maybe
been
a
doing
little
this
bit
about
more than a year, I think.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Every time I do it, I just feel a little bit better. And I can take it on a walk. You know, I just might put it here and not use it for a minute. Yeah. And then I'm here. And I don't know how to do like a lot of some of the different things that he knows how to do, but I try to add to it here and there just to get a little bit better at certain parts of it. Or even just like walking and staying on one side and then just observing like, why can't I rotate as good to that side as opposed to this side? Things like that.
Then I want to add this thing in. You know how I said I love to go on the sandbag walk every single day? Now, the sandbag walk, as I mentioned, is inherently it's a compressive force. So obviously, I'm not just letting it I'm not staying flaccid and letting this compress me. I am working against that load, so I walk with neutrality. But even so, it's still a load on my structure. So as I adjust and adjust, at a certain point, I'll let this go. And then, the reason why I bring this with me is because this will allow me to bring that decompression back. I can get everything long. Notice how my scapula is elevated, my shoulders are wide, and I'm funneling rotational energy through this rope. And then it brings me back to this state of, okay, let me compress again. So I'm going from compression to decompression to compression to decompression. Whereas generally, when we think of a lot of training, there's a lot of compressive forces, and it's rare that we have something. Athletes sprint. Sprinting, when they're good, they're decompressed. They know how to, right? So you have that through movements, but many people don't have the, what's the word I'm looking for? Coordination, and they don't have the coordination power to be able to do that efficiently. And that's one of the things that this teaches you how to do. So.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is, people will, at the bottom of something, they just have no awareness of what's going on. Then they'll learn like one thing and they can think with that. So, oh, I must do this. Then you get to where you know the subject and it's like, okay, well, a kid could throw a medicine ball. That's that. If I'm warming up to sprint and do, let's say, like skipping or something.
Yeah.
You naturally, you're like, okay, I'm ready. Like you're ready to, you feel that.
Uh-huh.
Even to where for many years I've been teaching basketball players. Okay, if you want to have a good crossover, a drill is to make sure you're low enough to touch the floor. So you're like super coiling. So if you can go up the court like this, you're actually moving more like a top basketball player now versus the guy going here, not faking anybody out.
Uh-huh.
So then it's like, okay, I can see that in someone's regimen, you have that going on rather than being, don't do that or you have to do this. No, so this video I feel like gives someone, that's a pretty full scope at it. I don't know if there's a video on the internet that shows the scope we just showed as opposed to arguing over what's best, but just showing here's great options.
Yeah.
We could add to this forever, but I think it's worth mentioning. I think like one of the more valuable exercises that kids can do, because you almost always have access to it, it's rare that you wouldn't have access to it, is just to do step-ups and to figure out a way to do some sort of way to step up. I mean, this is gonna be a little challenging, 100-something pounds for a step up, but again, it's not hard to have access to these things. And if you get someone who's this strong on one foot, and that downward force on that other foot isn't no joke either. And you can even think about kind of getting it in the hip flexor a little bit because you have to push against the bag each time you go to bring your leg back up. But just all kinds of shit like that will work your back, your glutes, your calves, and if you want to do them on your toes or whatever.
This is a great.
There's so many.
This is a great finishing topic though, because we've covered. We're almost like heading into this.
If you want to keep this super safe for your knee, if you have knee issues, you can keep the knee pretty straight. Just bring your foot forward. Yeah, right there. And now you're in a position where you don't have to go as much of a knee over toe, and then you can work your way into more and more knee flexion if you wanted to.
Yeah. A lot can be done there.
Look at his friggin'
and
hamstrings.
Incredible legs. And I would throw in this last category, because I would advise someone to almost build up 10 categories.
Yeah.
We've shown 4, and now we're getting into a 5th of sort of mobility, if you'll call it. And so I would advise someone, when you have kids, before they're all jacked up, is to get where they can, so you have ankle mobility, you have knee and leg strength, and then you have, so I'm just holding that position. Then on the other side, you have the hip flexor flexibility, and then you can probably build, and you can keep this down, or you can let it roll. I find most people like to let it roll up, but now you're getting into the inner thigh. So it's much easier to help young people build full front and side split squats when they're young.
Yeah.
And then you just like at the school, there's lots of stairs. There's no stairs here, but schools always have stairs. And so if we mimic a stairwell, with a stairwell, you have the railings, and then you have the steps. So with the railings and the steps, really easy to get into these positions. And then same, look at this one. So when you'll see if you have the railing here, front split squat, side split squat, get comfortable in those positions, then be able to move in those positions.
Hey Ben, let's go over here.
Lower.
And then can you show us those 3 or 4 different movements you just did? And I think it would be valuable for the audience to see how it looks when you do it, how it looks when Nsima does it, and how it looks when I do it.
Yeah.
So the ATG split squat and.
Yep. Exactly. So you have.
I'll just try to mimic what you're doing.
A deep squat on the front leg, while the back hip flexor is stretching.
And you can see, like, it's difficult for me to have so much distance he has between his feet. It's like my back foot, it doesn't really want to participate and go back that far.
I'll bring this guy over to you, Mark, because the elevation of the front foot simply changes the angle. So now, here, even get like this way as a side angle for the camera. This will be useful to see, is the two of us getting into a split squat. There you go. Exactly. Look.
Yeah,
so we've got ankle mobility, we've got loading on the leg, and then you feel a stretch in the back hip flexor.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Big time.
So being able to move into and out of that position without pain, this is going to be a lot easier to build when you're young. But look at Mark making it look good. And so this is something
it's interesting because, like, I wouldn't even really think of this as, like, I guess under normal circumstances I wouldn't really think of that as an exercise, but that is very challenging for me. So therefore, like, that's a pretty good exercise for me to do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it felt like it feels like it's going to be restorative, is what it feels like. It feels a little sketchy because it's pulling on my hip pretty good.
Yeah.
But it feels restorative.
Yeah. It's in this mobility category. So for someone, they could keep it lighter, just get comfortable in the position. The main thing for me is that I've just seen that if someone can be in this position without pain, then they tend to have better long-term knee and back effects. It's not about forcing it. Is this position pain-free? And so for someone here, this, if you were to measure the load, would be a lot different. This might be, like you said, like restorative versus then, Olympic athletes have used this successfully as a way to load a squat in a way that's getting them exceptionally flexible. Like if I was trying to be an Olympic figure skater, this would be very relative to my goals, and would be a nice tool. It doesn't mean that Olympic figure skater couldn't do a squat, but that's a nice tool in the toolbox. So for me, it was because of my knees feeling so different when I did try to squat because of partially artificial kneecap and meniscus transplant and quad tendon repair. So the double leg squatting, it just didn't feel even enough. So I've kept this in the regimen. But like at University of Houston, they do this once a week and they squat once a week. Very simple. It's not, doesn't have to be too crazy.
So we're still on mobility?
I think we're in mobility now, yeah.
Okay. So something that who knows? Maybe you do this with kids and they can have fun with it. Maybe you do this on your own at home. With the Sandbag, I kind of like with what you've done with ATG is you've helped people learn how to load these long range positions, right? One of the reasons why I like the Sandbag is, for example, if I were to grab these 45-pound dumbbells, I'm coming back over there. If I were to grab these 45-pound dumbbells, right, I can work these movements. I can come into an ATG split squat. I can lift it. But the Sandbag is, especially the training Sandbag or the round Sandbags, particularly nice because I think this one is, yeah, this one's about 110, right? So there's the puzzle of, okay. We come here, we come towards the ground, right? And if I were to try to pick up 110 pounds of a dumbbell, I'd have to pick it up in a certain way, maybe hold it towards my body. But here I can learn how to kind of leverage my body to come up with it safely. I can maybe see, okay, what if I held it here in this gable grip position? I can obviously do all these squatting movements, but then I could Cossack if I wanted to, right? I could split squat. I could come to the ground.
Yeah, and having a counterweight like that's really helpful.
Could come into a Zerch position. Okay, how do I get up from this dresser position? What do I do? Okay, maybe I bring my hip here, roll through here, come
Amazing.
up, right? You can use that to build hip mobility, knee mobility, all these positions. I kind of feel like I'm fighting with the bag a bit. And I'll usually do that for 3 to 5 minutes.
Amazing.
Come off and down the ground, go into Seiza, go into these different positions. But now you're going to these positions with a load, and you're trying to figure out what is the way that I have to stack my skeletal structure to be able to successfully come in and out of these positions, down and up, right? Obviously we can walk, but then we can also just, so many things we can do because of the nature of the object. Yeah. We can load our body with it. We can't necessarily do that with the barbell. We can't put a barbell on our shoulder. We can, but there's gonna be a big balancing act. Here, we really leverage our body and learn how to manipulate a load, moving with it through space. So another thing you could just play around with, right?
I will never go to a doctor ever again about my general health. All they want to do is put you on pills.
Really well said there by Dana White. Couldn't agree with him more. A lot of us are just trying to get jacked and tan. A lot of us just want to look good, feel good. And a lot of the symptoms that we might acquire as we get older, some of the things that we might have, high cholesterol or these various things, it's amazing to have somebody looking at your blood work as you're going through the process, as you're trying to become a better athlete, somebody that knows what they're doing. They can look at your cholesterol. They can look at the various markers that you have, and they can kind of see where you're at, and they can help guide you through that.
And there's a few aspects too where it's like, yes, I mean, no shade to doctors, but a lot of times they do want to just stick you on medication. A lot of times there is supplementation that can help with this. At Marek Health, these patient care coordinators are going to also look at the way you're living your lifestyle, because there's a lot of things you might be doing that if you just adjust that, boom, you could be at the right levels, including working with your testosterone.
And there's so many people that I know that are looking for, they're like, hey, should I do that? They're very curious. And they think that testosterone is going to all of a sudden kind of turn them into the Hulk. But that's not really what happens. It can be something that can be really great for your health, because you can just basically live your life a little stronger, just like you were maybe in your 20s and 30s.
And this is the last thing to keep in mind, guys. When you get your blood work done at a hospital, they're just looking at like these minimum levels. At Marek Health, they try to bring you up to ideal levels for everything you're working with. Whereas if you go into a hospital and you have 300 nanograms per deciliter of test, you're good, bro, even though you're probably feeling like shit. At Marek Health, they're going to try to figure out what things you can do in terms of your lifestyle. And if you're a candidate, potentially TRT. So
these are things to pay attention to get you to your best self.
And what I love about it is a little bit of the back and forth that you get with the patient care coordinator. They're dissecting your blood work. It's not like you just get this email back and it's just like, hey, try these 5 things. Somebody's actually on the phone with you, going over every step and what you should do. Sometimes it's supplementation, sometimes it's TRT, and sometimes it's simply just some lifestyle habit changes.
All right, guys, if you want to get your blood work checked and also get professional help from people who are going to be able to get you towards your best levels, head to MarekHealth.com and use code POWERPROJECT for 10% off any panel of your choice.
Amazing stuff. I was going to throw one more, like if people coach football guys and they're strong but stiffer, when you get into those Cossack squats, like a lot of times people will fall back, but with some counterbalance, they can like start to get into like, and I think like controlling it strong through that knee and that groin for football and for just really anyone to build this stuff. It's, as I showed with a stairwell, you can like start getting into these positions, then you have deeper loading, but the counterbalance is worth mentioning there. And we put this last because I think mobility, like if kids didn't have to be stuck in chairs all day, and if they're sitting like this to begin with. So my kids, they'll sit like this, they'll sit like this, they'll sit like this. Those are all things. They'll sit like this. This is all stuff that you find in mobility programs that kids shouldn't be stuck in chairs all day at school. So that's why I wanted to put mobility last, because you shouldn't actually have to do that much for mobility if you keep that floor sitting in.
Question, because you use rings a lot, and I've loved rings. I set these up in my kitchen. So I have 2 sets of rings in my kitchen.
Amazing.
Sometimes when me and my girl are chilling. But one thing that has been a weakness for me, and is not a weakness for children, is like kids have monkey bars, and they're just like swinging from bar to bar, and they're hanging off of single arm, off of dual arms. So funnily enough, as I've been doing more hanging, I'm like, oh my God, I can barely hang for like 5 seconds with one arm, right? But kids, if they keep doing it, right, they can just...
My 4-year-old swings with one arm.
Super strong
instinctively.
Here, right?
Like he's probably pound for pound as strong as me. Like that's crazy to say, that we are probably equally good at swinging with one arm.
I used to do it as a kid, but then years of never hanging. So on the mobility front, what are your thoughts on the capacity of hanging comfortably?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities there. If you look at like kids sitting on the floor and kids swinging around hanging, the simplicity for me is having people try to build to a pull-up, but where they're actually going through a full range of motion. And I tell people if they want to spend extra time hanging, they can. So to me, that's like all great stuff. And so earlier in this video, I showed rowing, face pulling with the rings. That's my upper body pulling system for my students. Ring pull-up, ring row, ring face pull. Get good at those 3. And people can spend extra time hanging one arm, 2 arms, but I haven't explored that myself beyond, like this feels really good getting into that. So like getting into this position feels really good. So I do my pull-ups where I'm trying to go all the way up and all the way down, and I've been doing that. I do very minimal upper body, but that's been in my regimen for probably like 10 years of a nice stretch, and I can honestly say I haven't had a back or a shoulder or a knee problem in over 10 years. Like that's what I train for, to enjoy basketball. My kid will be 5 next month. 0 injuries whatsoever since having kids. Yet you guys see me on Instagram, I do a lot of crazy stuff. So I keep the demand in. I play with my kids. I bet I'm in the upper 1% of playing with my kids. Being on the floor, rolling around, running around with them. And no injuries since they're born. No injuries in 10 plus years. And while I don't intentionally train the hang, I intentionally train a pull-up going all the way to a hang on every rep. So it's not a lot of space here, but
one thing I do
still good.
I want to mention when it comes to the hanging thing is, because as I've been trying to build this ability, there have definitely been days that I've like taken it way too far in terms of how long I hold. What I try to do is each day I try to get cumulative 4 to maybe 5 minutes, but not at once. So obviously I said I have these set up. I can dose it, but it might take me a year, it might take me 2 years. I'm going to be able to get to a point where I could hang off with one hand. And when we say hang too, I think sometimes when people think about hanging, they think about the body is just totally flaccid, right? There's still a little bit of tension. There's a little bit of tension to keep you there, right? I'm not super tense, but I have some tension here. so that I can maintain this position for a long period of time, right? But as you're trying to build that skill, just like we talked about with everything here, don't bum rush it. Don't try to do it too quickly. Don't try to do too much too often, because that can cause a lot of pain to those tendons and ligaments that are getting stretched. So just be careful with your intensity of it, but slowly build the skill, because I've just noticed, like, I mean, the mobility and the range that I'm able to have through all these structures because of hanging and all these other capacities that we've talked about today, it's improved. But there have definitely been times and days where I've taken it too far, where it's affected other things for like a week, and no one wants that.
Well, and again, if someone wanted to copy my exact advice for PE classes, it would be you're working each quality once every 2 weeks. And so every other week, working a pull-up. The exact system I tell kids is use the legs and like get used to that tension to where you're like, oh, you're like feeling your body's weight on the way down. So some of the kids, super overweight, whatever, thinking I can't even work on it, they're going like this.
Yep.
And before you know it, you're seeing a little bit of resistance there. And then if they can't do the pull-ups, then yeah, finish one of these to burn out. So it's like have fun working the tension, then finish one of these to burn out.
Yeah.
When you're really like under control with that thing, then the next time around, like once you've recovered, you'll probably be able to do a pull. And then once you get it, keep it for life.
Keep it for life.
With the rings, again, and with the kettlebells, I just find really good effects in here. So you got the ring rowing, ring face pulls, ring pull-ups. You get way stronger in here than regular implements.
I know we've been going for a while. Mark, did you actually? Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
I was just going to show something real quick, and you could do it with the rings, but this setup is like a little bit awkward. But if you needed a little bit of support, especially for one arm, you know, I think the idea of like doing just about anything is to figure out how to get comfortable with it. Probably like one of the harder things to get comfortable with when I was boxing, when I was a kid, was just being in like close proximity to somebody that's trying to punch you.
Yeah.
And so you would just you would just like be next to each other and you would just throw light punches.
Yeah.
Just so you get used to it, right? You need to get used to stuff. And so I think some exposure to like one arm would be, you know, you're here and however many bands, if you need to put 5 bands here, who cares how many bands it is?
Yeah.
It's just you finding exposure to it. So maybe you can only hang with 2 arms, but maybe you can get enough bands underneath you to where you can work on hanging with 1, and you can have kind of 1 leg down. You could use 2 if you want more support. But I'm getting like a really crazy stretch. And then if I wanted to, I could start to just how much pulling can I do, you know, from these positions, and you can start from those really long positions. And for me, like this is stretching like all this stuff because this stuff hasn't moved in probably a long time. So a lot of shit like that. And just over the last couple months, I've gotten a lot better at like things like pull-ups and stuff. Like I was doing some off of these the other day. Like I fully sucked at them, but I actually figured out what the main problem was. The main problem was I was too tight. I was so tight that it interferes with my ability to like pull. It's part of the reason why my back could be bigger, but because of my lack of range of motion, it's kind of like in bodybuilding. Like you're able to hit the bodybuilding poses, so you're able to show and demonstrate you have a jacked body anyway.
Yeah.
You're able to show and demonstrate your body and show it off better than the next guy because you have good mobility. And when you don't have the right mobility, it's hard to have some of these expressions of strength. But I worked on hanging for a while, just 30 seconds at a time in between sets of other stuff, 40 seconds at a time, a minute, and so on. I can usually hold myself up now for about 90 seconds. But stuff like this would have been impossible for me to do, even just a few weeks ago. Wouldn't have been able to do that at all. So it's fun. I've been lifting for a long time, and to still be able to make improvement, it feels incredible. It gets you fired up and keeps you motivated every single day.
There's a device called the Ring Thing. I have it on the rings because it allows me to take away some of my body weight, so I can hang from one arm.
I've seen that.
I can do
that looks cool.
I can do the human cross because you attach it to rings. It takes away maybe half of your body weight, and you can then expose these tissues to these motions that you've never been able to. And then if you want to increase the load, you can add like a weighted belt or whatever to get yourself back to your body weight. But if you're like heavy like me, I'm 250. A lot of these things I'm not going to be able to even touch these positions if I don't have less body weight.
Gotta lift that ass.
So that's a puzzle. Before we go on, I want to ask you guys, when it comes to the capacity of jumping and hopping, do you guys want to talk about that at all? Because I honestly think that that's super important, and that's something that as many people get older, they don't do that, and then they like try to do that and they can't even handle the force of the ground. And we don't have to like go into crazy progressions and regressions, but just like simple stuff for the capacity.
Number one, you guys are invited to my barn will have a basketball version similar to Mark's.
Okay.
And instead of machines,
Can we have the rim adjusted height wise?
absolutely.
All right, there we
you
go.
should. The best jumping drill for young kids is to put it where you can dunk it.
Nice.
Have a ball that you can palm until you're easily dunking, jumping off the left leg, jumping off the right leg, jumping right left, or jumping left right. There's my best jump drill for kids. You could carry that all the way to the NBA. You would never have to do a jump drill in your entire life if you were very good at jumping off the left leg, right left, and left right, and being sure to go, okay, left leg, right hand, right leg, left hand. It's good for the back and stuff to go evenly.
Okay.
So yeah, you want an adjustable rim, and there you go. Like if I wrote a jump book and you looked inside and it was just that, that would still be a worthwhile book.
That's amazing.
My number. So within that, any quality jumping could be legitimate. To take from Dan Pfaff, P-F-A-F-F. Dan Pfaff is a track coach. Dan Pfaff often worked with the guys on the track while Charles Poliquin worked with them on the weight room. These guys have produced Olympic gold medals. Dan Pfaff had something he called rudiments, which means like basics. And so he used a system, which for me coming around years later, it's like there's such common denominators. He would have people jumping backward. So if someone wants a simple jump routine who's not basketball, you can go 2 legs. Like who says you can't go like this? But if you're not able to like get some good loading backward on 2 leg, okay, now backward 1 leg. Look at that position for the knee and the Achilles every time you're there. So it's almost like if you could jump backward, you'll have a better chance of jumping forward without pain.
Let me try. I never really do that, but
it's pretty intense on the Achilles and the knee.
okay.
Yep. So do 10 reps each side backward. Do 10 reps each side where you're actually trying to get some like motion laterally. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you have 2 legs, and the same with the lateral. The lateral, you could do 2 legs.
Yeah.
You could do 1 leg. So you're trying to get some motion. There you go. Exactly. Like you're trying to be springy and you're trying to cover distance. And then same thing with 2 or 1. Now, actually, cover. I'll hold the mic. Yeah. And guess what? Some of the top track athletes in the world, that's a plyo they do, is hopping over the hurdle.
Yeah.
And then you want some intense plyo, that same plyo, single leg. Like this is, to me, this is can you just like float on 1 leg like that? That's a fundamental.
Those are the videos of like Linford Christie jumping over the hurdles like that.
Exactly.
Nice, Nsima, there you go.
So there you have, so if you're a basketball player, I taught you my basketball jump system. You don't need any of this. If you're not.
That's tough to coordinate bringing that hip up, right?
Yeah, you have to use your arms a bit.
Yeah. But again, who says you can't do that?
Right.
And then get here, and then get that knee up. Okay, until you should, like, I want people to feel like they're just like bunny rabbits on 1 leg.
Yeah.
Getting knee up every time. So there's a jump system that anyone could do, because again,
Work on that.
this is the same drill. This is the same drill as this. This one's just getting the knee up on 1 leg. So
I was gonna say, obviously I'm not doing as much jumping as you, but for me and what I do in terms of my sport, the minimal I try to get people to is just effortless hopping. Like just being able to do this without it taking out a breath, without you feeling like you have to use a lot of muscle.
And if that was forward and backward, inside to side, then you're doing the jump system.
Exactly. Just get to a place where you can just like pop off your body without it taking effort, right?
Yep.
And you could assist that too, like older people, like hold on to something and try to see if you can lift off the ground. You don't have to be here first.
They do classes in water where they're essentially doing, some people say, hey, knee ability 0 didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I then did it in water for a while. Now I can do it on, because you would just be mastering those same positions just underwater. So, so with the jumping, if you're going forward and backward and side to side, that's my jump system, then just scale that. If you think about all the ATG stuff, because how many people ask me, what is your exercise system? Balanced ability. oh, because it's just deep squats. No, we also do the high positions. We do the sliding
Two
forward,
leg, one
backward,
leg, forward,
sideways.
backwards,
So
sideways.
it's high positions, it's low positions.
Yeah.
That's why I'm finishing for, because we only showed like a 1 week sample. And unironically, I'll do it on, how much do you guys think this hamstring curl machine costs? 3,000 usually is
Probably something like that, yeah.
Okay, well, with just a pad, I can challenge, I'll do once a week, I'll do like 10 reps like this.
Yeah.
Done. Maintain super strong knee flexion with just a pad. Now for students, the Nordic is often intense. So my full hamstring curl progression is,
what this is.
It's very simple. So you get used to that. Oh, I've jacked up this microphone. So it's very athletic because you get used to squeezing the glutes. So you have 2 legs, so you're getting used to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So level 1, 2 legs. Level 2, 2 legs up, 1 leg down. Level 3, single leg. When that's boring, level 4, my advanced track guys, boom, go fight Nordic eccentrics. We broke 80% of school records this year, won Oregon States in track and field, broke a bunch of state records off everything I just showed you guys today. Simple stuff.
Jeez.
Nothing fancy. And guess what? If you have a hamstring curl machine,
Yeah.
awesome.
Right.
That's great. Use it. You got measurable load.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is just to have balanced ability. Be strong, extending, flexing. When Mark walked in the gym, what was I doing today?
Leg
So
extension.
I didn't know he was walking. I was on the leg extension. Because with the sled or with that single leg squat, I'm getting strong leg extension. So that's what ATG is. It's leg extension and flexion. It's high positions and low ones. It's quads and those ankles.
Yep.
Quads, hams, legs, back. So yeah, that was everything I got in there. This video will probably make a bunch more knees over toes guys competitors out there.
Awesome.
That's everything I got.
Oh, I earlier we were in there. You were doing some skipping, right? For the older folks out there, one thing to think about is when you're taking your walk, just try to
Yeah, why
skip
not?
a little bit. That's a mini plyometric, right?
Just like hope no one
skip.
sees you, but
We didn't cover the running system. So my boring, like oversimplified running system,
Yeah.
both my parents do it. I call it the balance mile.
Okay.
So they go 100 yards backward,
Uh-huh.
walk back to the start. 100 yards sideways. Yeah, my dad is in the neighborhood and like he's feeling better from doing like, that's why I joke in the videos that like, yeah, my dad just finished runner up in the salsa.
throw a little
Yeah,
music
yeah.
on it. Yeah.
And then so you go backward, walk back. Go to your left, walk back. Go to your right, walk back. And then instead of sprint, skip.
Yes.
So instead of sprinting, because what you're doing with skipping is you're getting some of that extension,
Yep.
but you're also having to land. Because if you were to just all of a sudden sprint, that would be fine, but you're gonna have to stop yourself. So
Yeah.
older folks, when they start sprinting, the problem is like slowing down.
Yep.
So with the skip, you're getting explode and slow down, explode, slow down, explode, slow down. So they can just do it like this, and then
Yep.
gradually until they're. But even an elite people joke, in the Mad TV, like Michael McDonald, I think, or what his name, like, look what I can do. Like, but that's kind of what happens if you take the basics.
Yep.
Then your body can move pretty well. So
right.
that's how I do the 4-way running, 4-way jumping.
You can do that any walk. I love that though, because again, we should all be walking. So you can do that. You can take something with you. You can carry something with you. You can turn. Not that your walk has to be a workout. Your walk can still be, because some people are going to listen to this and be like, just go on a walk, bro. Like, what the hell? But like,
Yeah, of
you
course,
can
do that sometimes. Yeah.
Exactly.
it's
You-
all
you
good.
can just make them. All of this again is super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and no one can tell me that skipping isn't fun. I don't care what people say. I
skipping,
will skip in
jumping,
front of
it's great.
everybody. It's fun as hell. So
What you did with the bag is you added a ton of skill. To me, it's all positive skill. Everything in exercise, to me, I think of it as upward positive skill. You'll never see a video of me criticizing anything because it's all skill of some sort.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you take these things that, like the Sandbag adds a ton of skill. That's going to change the game for me in helping my athletes get that killer backward sled drag, but with the Sandbag, and be able to do carries with it, and be able to load squats with it. Huge. I was here selfishly. I mean, that's why I was here, to be actually trying to get stuff for my
You
students.
got to see this playground here.
Yeah, and this is the dream. I mean, this isn't. Have you done like a gym tour for YouTube? And this is,
A little bit, yeah.
well, this was cool. They got a gym tour. They saw all the different rooms. This is the dream right here. This is out on land. How much land do you have here?
22 acres.
This is where it's at. Wow. And I bet you anything, I know because we're going the same route, it's actually cheaper to go out and get some land than to try to compete for who's who in the city.
All right, for sure.
Like it's surprising. I didn't know this growing up. I wish I would have learned this stuff. Like you can go to neighborhoods in the city and then you can go out and get way more land for way less price and have like an awesome lifestyle for your kids, whether to grow up working hard, staying humble.
The things that people care about around here is different than what they care about in the city. Like us and our neighbors are putting trees in at the same time that like block each other from each other. We don't have any problem with them. They're great neighbors and vice versa. But it's just like funny. It's like, oh, you're planting trees. And the guy's like, oh yeah, a couple years they'll be pretty tall. I was like, oh, we're building some too. And we're like, well, that's to block the wind. It's really like just you want more privacy even though you got like a bunch of land.
Yeah, that's funny.
Kind of funny the way it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.